Hi there, I'm up here in the old forest again. It's a beautiful Friday morning, early Friday morning actually. I would like to ask you, what was the most important item for any Norseman during the Viking Age? What was it that every Norseman would have in his belt kit? It's a sort of trick question. The answer is not the sword. It's actually this little guy, a fire striker. So the Vikings would use this and a stone like a flint, for instance, or quartz, to create a spark and light fire. Okay, so to make fire with a fire striker, you would need your flint, your fire striker obviously, and a flint or similar stone. You would also need something that will catch the spark. I use mostly charcloth. Now the Vikings probably, well, they didn't have linen, they had linen, but they didn't have cotton, and this is cotton charcloth. I use this because the natural materials are quite scarce in these woods actually. This is part of the so-called horse hoof fungus that they would use. They would treat this with a bleach solution that you make from the ashes of a leaf tree like ash. And this will catch a spark. Now also I think I have some in my pocket. Yes, this is chaga, which you can use without treating it to catch a spark. I've actually shaped it so that it can easier catch the spark in here in this area. Again, I won't use this because it is a fungus that grows very slowly. I don't like to harvest it, also because it's used as a medicine actually. It's used to treat cancer and so on. So I will use the charcloth. Now on my way up here, I forgot to bring dried grass. So this is much more like a real life situation in a sense. I didn't bother to go back home to fetch it. Instead, now let's see. I collected some grass since it's now February. This grass that I collected, it's not dry. So I collected. Let's see. Let's put this. I collected some birch bark, which you can use instead of dried grass, actually. Okay, so what you want is, you don't want these to take off large pieces, large thick pieces of birch bark. You want the outer thin layer that is very fine, and you want to create some kind of nest here. Now I made these from a cotton canvas belt, so it's these pieces are thick and they are perfect for this use. Now I'm going to try to keep everything in focus. I have nicknamed my method of firelighting with the flint and steel the cup method, because you create sort of a cup underneath your flint, and then you strike it to land your spark here. Okay. Now, when you start out making fire with the flint and steel, don't get stressed if your first spark doesn't land. It's just a matter of practice, and I can sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Yeah, oops. So it landed behind my finger. Let's see now. There. So I'll put this in here. It will smolder inside there and slowly heat up and dry out the birch bark. Now we already have some chocolate here, so I'll put even more here, and I'll try to show you. Now this won't go out. It will go out eventually, but it stays burning. Can you see the smoke coming up from there? And you cover it with some of these finer parts of birch bark, and it takes a little bit more time to light this because it's wet, but it will eventually catch fire. Now let's see if I'm in focus now. Now we could actually light the dried grass, but I'll just put this here. Let's push this over in the snow so it won't make an ugly mark here on the tree. So that's how the Vikings lit their fire, especially if they were out in winter and they didn't have any dried grass with them. Up here in Scandinavia. Now, I would like to say, if I haven't said it already, they were not using char cloth, they were using natural materials. You can char different materials. You can char punk wood, and you can even use, if your campfire goes out, you can use the charcoals in your fire. If it's completely dry, it will probably catch spark the morning after. Also, as I mentioned, they were using chaga and amadu. Amadu was treated in a bleach solution. And I personally think that I believe that some of our heritage and the knowledge has been lost. We don't know for sure how they survived out in the wild, especially during winter. But not knowing everything is kind of fascinating to me. I think it's the mysteries there's something about that, and maybe it's good that we don't know everything about our ancestors, for good and bad, as they say. This is a very ancient part of the forest, and the reason for that is that, ancient meaning these trees are very old. They have not been, this forest has not been kept. It's just standing here, and when a tree falls over, it just lies there, which is beautiful. The surrounding areas have been chopped down, sadly, quite recently, actually. So that bothers me a lot. It's very silent up here. It's very peaceful. I like it here. There's a little bird saying hello. So if you liked this video, then please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you are not a subscriber already, then please do consider becoming a subscriber to this channel. And thank you, and have a nice day.